Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, the Nui channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing episodes 7 and 8 of Dynamite Kiss, and it's going to be another voice recording. This one is going to be really long. I'm sorry about that. Right now I'm recovering from some self-inflicted blood loss, if you know what I mean. Life is a mess and I'm struggling for real. So that job interview I told you about, it didn't work out. And I'm nowhere near getting monetized on YouTube. All in all, I'm in a lot of debt for about 11,240 Rand, which is like 662 US dollars. And the thing is, no one gets it. It's like they're trying to pull water out of a rock. I mean, no matter how many times these people ask me, I just don't have the money. And it's sad, and I don't have a solution, but everyone wants to know what's my plan. I feel like everything has fallen apart, and yet life still goes on. So anyways, on to the actual topic of today's video. Normally when I watch the episodes, I do the reviews at the same time, so you can get my genuine, in-the-moment reaction. But this time I couldn't wait, so I watched the episodes as soon as they came out, and this video is a reaction to my second watch through. So if I do make an episode on the next two, if I do make a video on the next two episodes, the video should be out on Thursday or Friday because I just can't wait to get to the episodes. And I noticed that even though these videos I'm doing is getting about 300 views, I only have like 33 subscribers and 5 or 6 likes on the videos. So can I ask you all to please like, comment, and subscribe, please? Okay, so episode 7 starts with Ji-hyuk rushing Darim to the emergency room. Sonyu is also at the hospital because he's visiting Darim's mother. Side note, but does the show have only one hospital? So the ladies, they say they're jealous that Darim's mother has such a good son-in-law. And then the mother explains this is not her son-in-law. He's a good friend of her daughter and she wouldn't burden him with her daughter. And personally, though, I think this might be her subtle way of telling him to get over his feelings because Sanram, which is Sonyu and Darim, is never going to happen. So he tries to call Darim, but she's still unconscious, and Ji-hyuk cuts the call because he wants more time alone with Darim. And this is the scene at the end of the previous episode where they played this amazing song that starts with Face to Face. And Ji-hyuk says he's also swayed by Darim. Anyways, the reason she was hospitalized is because she had stress-induced stomach cramps. And I actually have a few complaints about Darim in this episode, but I'll mention those later. And while he's raising her bed to a sitting up position, he leans over the bed so they have a moment, but it's interrupted by the nurse coming to check Darim's blood pressure, which is obviously high now. And she's so embarrassed because Ji-hyuk is still in the room and heard everything that she lies and says maybe it was a problem with the equipment. And in the morning when Darim wakes up, she sees Ji-hyuk is still there, and it's so sweet. He never left her side. I think she's even more swayed. And by the way, I feel like that's such an old-timey word, but that's what they used on the show, and it was even part of the title of the previous episode. So I'm going to use it as well. Swayed. So we also have a new character introduction in this episode, which is Hayoung's brother Taeyang. And he gives off psychopath vibes and is actually making Ji-hyuk's sister look like a victim in comparison. Hayoung is not there to meet her brother though, because she's at Sonyu's studio and she brings him lunch. And I'm starting to feel like she's too good for him actually. June likes her though, and it looks like that may finally be what makes an impression on Sonyu. Then it's time for the reopening of the family park. One of Tarim's co-workers didn't have anyone to look after her child, so she brings him to this event, and the child's name is Daesung. And at one point, he goes missing, so everyone splits up to find him. Then we cut to Ji-hyuk's sister and Taeyang. And side note, I really need to learn her name because she's an important character to the story. So it looks like the sister and Taeyang had a secret relationship But he wasn't serious about her and didn't want to go public because she's the illegitimate daughter of her family, blah, blah, blah. The reason I said he was a psychopath is because he seems to enjoy hurting her feelings, and he tells her all of this like he's just stating facts. So I feel like he's purposely trying to break down her confidence, and I'm not a fan of his. And then after that, Darim sees Daesang's cap at the entrance to this forbidden forest type of place, and instead of calling for the others, she goes exploring alone, falls down this hill, and drops her phone in the process. So, yes, this is the reason why I don't like her actions in this episode. Everyone is trying to help the boy, and she ends up needing help herself because they find the boy and he's perfectly fine in the end. So when Ji Hyuk hears that Darim is still missing, he goes into the forest after her. And this is a side note, but doesn't this frame look like it's straight out of a horror movie? So Hyung and Sonyu are at the park, I think, with June, and then he gets a phone call letting him know that Darim is missing. So he leaves June with Hyung and he goes to find Darim. And if I was Hyung, I would just cut my losses at this point because what do you mean you want me to babysit your son while you chase after your crush? But Hyung is a much more compassionate person than me and just tells him to be careful and not to speed. And so Ji Hyuk finds Darim and takes her to this cave for shelter from the rain. But Ji Hyuk develops a fever. There's a funny moment when Ji Hyuk asks her if she's married early to fill the void her father left when he died, and she replies, maybe. And so he mutters to himself that she should have waited. So these two are all snuggled up, holding each other for warmth, and then Ji Hyuk, maybe because of his fever, well, he confesses that he's not a good person, and he's also swayed. And cue fangirls squealing at their TVs all over the world right now. It looks like they're about to kiss again, but then Sanyu gets there and interrupts. He grabs Darim's hand to take her down the cave, but then Jihyuk grabs her hand as well and pulls it out of Sanyu's grip. Cue more squealing from the audience. And it's actually a really long moment and everyone is paused in shock. But then the rescue party finally shows up, so Jihyuk finally lets go of Darim's hand. And since this is episode 7 and there's only about 14 episodes left, well, in total there's 14 episodes. And we're halfway through the K-drama, so things get a bit serious now. Sonyu asks Darim to quit her job when they're riding home together, but she refuses. And to me, if he really was her best friend, what's the harm in telling him she has feelings for Ji-hyuk? I think it's either that she's still coming to terms with her feelings or she realizes Sonyu likes her and she's trying to spare his feelings. Meanwhile, Ji-hyuk, his fever is giving him a whole morality crisis. He hallucinates that his father is in his apartment and he hates his father for the affair and breaking up their family. But then he starts to think he might be doing exactly the same thing with Darim's family. And so, yeah, he starts to realize he might be the homewrecker here. In fact, the father is so shameless, he goes to visit his mother in the hospital with a reporter, but she hides with Darim's mother and eventually tells her the whole story. And I'm a bit disappointed because I thought their last interaction would lead to conflict between the families, and then Ji-hyuk's mother could hand her an envelope with cash and tell her that her daughter needs to stay away from her son. You know, I kind of miss that cliche in modern K-dramas. But anyways, Darim gets paid and puts it in an envelope the next day for Ji-hyuk, but he's not at work, so she goes to his house to give him the money. She made porridge for him and she got him medication, but he's very cold and distant, and he says it's inappropriate for her to be there since, she's someone's wife, and he's a single man living alone, and what would people say? So instead of clearing up the situation and just saying she lied, she just accepts it with tears in her eyes and leaves the porridge for him before leaving. And poor Ji-hyuk looks so sad. But then he does something crazy. He organizes a meeting with his family and Hyang's and announces he wants the wedding to go through as soon as possible. So that's how the episode ends. Episode picks up with them still at the meeting. Hyang tries to object, but everyone dismisses her, even Ji-hyuk. So Ji-hyuk's mother, I'm thinking of Ji-hyung from Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. Anyways, unrelated. So Ji-hyuk's mother was suspicious about the timing of this marriage, and only on the car ride back, the father tells her that all of this is part of the deal he made with Ji-hyuk, that if Ji-hyuk marries Hyung, he's going to divorce her. Obviously, she's feeling guilty. She goes to her son and, she tells him, don't do it unless you actually love this woman. And the next day at work, Darim is having a bad day. First, her heel breaks. Then she sees the announcement that Ji-hyuk and Hyung are getting married. Unrelated to anything, but Ji-hyuk is very handsome with glasses. As I said, unrelated. So they try to act professional at the office, but it's not really working. And then when Darim breaks a cup and tries to pick up the pieces, Ji-hyuk helps her and takes her aside. But he's still cold and asks her why she always needs help and how she needs to get her act together. And he says that she's a handful. So Hyang tries to confess to her mother that she can't marry Ji-hyuk because she likes someone else. But the mother tells her to just forget this someone else. She doesn't want to hear it. So the new plan his sister concocts is to set up Ji-hyuk and Darim to babysit the absolute cutest Korean babies and then make them miss the boat back and force them to stay the night together in the same room. But her minion can't get any good pictures of the pair. Some looks are exchanged, but nothing happens, and even when they share a mattress together, Ji-hyuk wakes up early and starts jogging. So the next day, Hyung's mother invites Ji-hyuk for the wedding dress fittings, and the whole time he's picturing Darim in the wedding dress instead. And afterwards, Hyung lies to her mother that she's going to dinner with Ji-hyuk, but she actually goes to see Sunyu. And she's crying and emotional, and she tells him that Ji-hyuk saw them kissing and called her a homewrecker, and now he's speeding up the wedding because he doesn't want this affair to hurt Darim. So she thinks he should just come clean. I don't know about this, but does Hyung know that Ji-hyuk has feelings for Darim? Maybe I missed that part. Please comment if I missed it. And Sanu is such a punk. He asks Hyung to consider marrying Ji-hyuk, obviously because he wants to get rid of his rival for Darim. But then Ji-hyuk shows up and punches Sanyu, and Hyung tries to explain things to Ji-hyuk, but Sanyu interrupts and says he wants to speak to Ji-hyuk alone. So Sanyu tells him he made a mistake with Hyung and that he really loves Darim. It's very annoying. He's doing all of this. It's like, okay, let me not say it. Okay, so Ji-hyuk says that if he finds out Sanyu does this again, he'll kill him with his bare hands. Darim sees Sanyu with his lips split afterwards, and he says that he ran into a pole. And so while she's treating him, he almost confesses his feelings, but then he chickens out at the last minute. And Ji-hyuk sees Darim and Sanyu with June, and I guess he's thinking they do look like a legit family. The next day, though, is his engagement ceremony, and even though his mother doesn't want him to marry, if it's not for love, he's determined to go through with it until he sees Sanyu and June approaching Darim, and he hears June calling her his aunt and not his mother. So I don't know, will this misunderstandings finally get resolved? Yeah, we'll have to wait until the next episode because that's how this one ends. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please comment, let me know your thoughts so far. Please like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and bye.